Now we're going to use the model that we just developed to do some what-if analysis. The first question that we want to answer is what are the different profits that we will make under different conditions of our decision, which is how many units we want to order quantity, okay, along the side, and then the demand along the top. Okay. So these are actually decision variables, so I should really color code it like that. So these are decision variables. These are uncertain variables when we have assumed that the demand will be anywhere between 500 to 4,500. Now we want a data table of profit. So we have two different inputs, input of order quantity, input of demand. So in this corner cell, we will set up the output, so which is profit. We want profit, so set that equal to profit. So once you have done that, then you highlight starting from the first column of input and the first row of input. Then go to data, what if analysis, data table. So now we have two different inputs and the row input and the column input. So row input here is the top row is demand. So row input should go into the demand cell, which is that one. Now column input cell should go into order quantity. Now click OK and you will have the profits for the different combination of decisions. Okay, so this is two-dimensional data table. Now this is kind of complicated looking data tables, too many numbers here. And we can use conditional formatting to highlight which combinations will give you profit actually. So we can highlight the values in the table, okay, and then we go to home, conditional formatting. And there are many different ways in which you can set up a conditional formatting. I'm going to show you the quickest and the easiest way. Highlight cell rules. So we can say greater than. Okay. Now we want greater than 0 for profit, right? So greater than 0, and you can set up whatever format that you want, and I'll just click OK for the default that's provided. So these are the combinations that will give you profit. Now if we have the probability for the uncertain outcome of demand, then we can set up a expected profit for each of the decisions. So of course, to make sure that the given probability is sum to 1, because otherwise the expected value will not work. So we have to verify that yes, that's probabilities do sum to 1. And for each order quantity, so here we have starting from 500 all the way through 450, 4,500 that is, and we want to set up an expected profit. So first let's go ahead and name the probabilities. Okay, highlight like this. Now when you do it this way, then the name will go to not just one single cell, that this probability label will be applied to the rest of the cells all taken together. See, now you see that this single cell is not probability. If you highlight that entire range, you will see that that is what is probability. Okay. Now we want to multiply these probabilities to each outcome for each row. So if your decision is 500, then these are the different profits you will make under different conditions, and you want to multiply each profit with the corresponding probability and sum them. So that will give us the expected profit for each order quantity, and that is achieved by a function called sum product. In sum product, you take one row, and you multiply that with another row of the same dimension. It cannot be two different dimensions. Then each cell is paired with the corresponding cell in the other range and multiplied. And all of those products are then summed. That's why this is called sum product. So the products are first made and then they are summed. Now, so that's our expected profit for the first decision. Now we can copy this, and since the probability is a range name, that acts as absolute reference. So you don't have to do an absolute reference now because range name is absolute reference. So you'll see that probability remains the same. So now we have the order quantity and the expected profit. We're going to do a bar graph of the expected profit for different order quantities, the decisions. So highlight the expected profit. We'll add the order quantity in the next step. Insert column, that one. Now since this is only one Y range, you don't need a legend, get rid of it. Now we need to insert the x-axis with these order quantities. So with the graph selected, go to select data, edit the order quantity. Okay, now we need to add labels. So horizontal label is order quantity. And vertical label, you can say dollars. So now we have an expected profit bar graph. So here is where our maximum profit occurs. And we can also use goal seek to see where the break-even point is. And there are other sensitivity analysis that can be performed. So here we looked at VLOOKUP and then sum product. These are the important concepts that, and of course the two-dimensional table and conditional formatting. All of that are important concepts.